Upcoming events. I wanted to just mention some upcoming global events that I know of. I'm going to drop the link into the chat for those. And I also want to give Jamie, Will, any other user group leaders that are on the line an opportunity to promote your events. So first, I'll talk about this GlobalCon 5. Jamie has already posted the link in the chat. And I'm going to post one more that has the first Turbo Tuesday schedule on it, which Jamie is speaking at. So GlobalCon 5 is it covers the whole Microsoft 365 suite, and it has Turbo events, which are 15-minute presentations, and then it has deeper dive, longer presentations. So I would welcome you guys to check that out. It's free. They also have paid content. It depends on what you're looking for. There's a really great blog article about why to do one versus the other. So check that out. Also coming up is the Scottish Summit. That's in February. So we will actually be meeting again before that event happens. So you'll hear about it from me again. Jamie, are you speaking at that?
Yeah, I am doing a session. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. All right. So that one is one day. It's on a Saturday. Is that right?
Yeah. It's just a really big, huge event. There'll be lots of different tracks. So there's probably something you'll be interested in.
Okay.
I guarantee it.
Awesome. Thanks. All right. So that's those two events. Another upcoming events, plural, that we have coming down the line are these Ask Me Anythings. These ones are Microsoft specific. They're not run by the community. They're led by Microsoft. But there are 3 different ones coming up in January. I don't know anything about these products. Gian could probably speak to this, but we've got Azure Migrate on the 19th, Azure Data Explorer on the 27th, and Azure HD Insight on the 28th. And I've got links for those that I will drop in. Gian, do you know anything about those events?
Not a whole lot. I just it's really not within my kind of purview, but long story short, take a look at those links, and I think that'll probably kind of give you everything you need to know about it. I'm sorry, did you provide the links, Janet?
I am doing so now. Let's see if they actually work.
And while you're doing that, I did want to mention one other thing. There is actually an intelligence technical specialist role that's open at Microsoft in both Iselin, New Jersey area, and then also in New York. And so I know that role will span not just New Jersey, but it may touch on the Philly market. I'm not exactly sure, but what I can do is just drop the link into the chat here. And if anyone on the phone has any questions or wants to refer someone else, then just reach out to me later.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Lots of announcements today. Okay, before we move off of the upcoming events, Will, do you want to mention anything about your upcoming events that you dropped in the chat?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Shannon. So on February 11th, I'm helping the DataViz DC meetup group host our monthly meetup. So that's February 11th. And it's just a chance to come see some presentations about all things data visualization related. So not just Power BI, we're platform agnostic, so everyone's welcome. And then on February 4th through the 7th, the Data Visualization Society is having their first data visualization conference. That is outlierconf.com. That should be a lot of fun, a little bit more artistic than Power BI, but it still should be really good.
Awesome. Thank you. For people who have not been following Data Visualization Society over the last year, they just started a year ago, but they blew up really quickly and they have a great blog. So I would recommend you check it out, even if you're not interested in the conference. Thanks, Will. Okay, I'm trying to go to the next slide. There we go. Okay, so I think I went too far. All right, so we are going to start off our meeting today with some demos. We're going to start off with Will, and I will let you guys introduce yourselves, but I think some people here know you as well, which is great. So Will is going to talk to us about streaming data sets for real-time data. Jimmy is going to show us something that I think is totally different from anything I've ever seen, which I'm really excited about, his Descendants dashboard. And then I am going to chat just very briefly about a new data visualization initiative that I am fortunate enough to be a part of. So with that, I will go ahead and stop sharing and I will let Will take it away. Will, if you want to just introduce yourself and let us know, what you do, who you are, and I will be dropping some links to your social media in the chat.
That sounds great. Thank you, Shannon. All right, so let me see about sharing my screen. Can everyone see this Power BI dashboard?
Yes, we can see it.
Excellent, thank you. So before I jump into the dashboard, I'm going to quickly give a brief overview of Power BI streaming datasets and very quickly show you how you can set one up if you want. If you're in a workspace, you can go and create new and skip dataset and go to streaming dataset. They're not together, but it's nicely highlighted. And then you select your source. You can either do it manually via the API or use Azure Stream or a PubNub stream. And you hit next and you name it. And then you select the values. And then it gives you the API details that you need to make it. Let me just show you an example. And it shows you everything. Now, one of the important things is for streaming data sets, by default, they don't show you any historic data. So if you have this historic data analysis off, which it is by default, you will not have any historic data. So you generally want to turn that on, and then you create it, and it gives you API details, and then whatever tool you have just sends data to the Power BI service, to Microsoft, and then it shows up as a data set here that you can use as if it was a normal data set. So I went ahead and built a dashboard. I'm going to go ahead and full screen here. If going full screen has ruined the sharing, someone please yell at me.
No, it's all good. It's
Perfect.
Great.
Appreciate that. So this is a streaming data set that I have coming from a Raspberry Pi, which is sitting behind my little tech closet. And that Raspberry Pi is getting data over Wi-Fi from some sensor nodes that I built using ESP8266s. And so these are little microcontrollers. Each of them, if you include all the sensors, each of these cost about $5 to build. And they are collecting humidity, temperature, and light level data and sending that to the Raspberry Pi, which then sends it to Microsoft, which then takes it to this dashboard. This is updating every 5 seconds. And as you can see, it's, slowly updating as additional data comes in. And it's got a pretty straightforward view of temperature, humidity, and brightness by time and device. There's still a couple of rough edges. Specifically, you'll note all three of these graphs over here on the left, these line charts, they are for the last hour of time. The time is off because it's in UTC. I'm sure that there is a way to adjust that so that this is displaying it in local time, but it currently thinks it's in the future. And here there are currently 3 sensor nodes around my apartment here in Bethesda. So I've got one in the bedroom, one in the kitchen, and one in the window. And I'm actually going to demonstrate that right now. I have here a little flashlight. And if you look at the very side of my corner on the windowsill, you should be able to see a little device there. And that's going to be, when I shine on it, it's going to be the orange line here for brightness. And so as it updates, we should see that increasing. And there we go. And then I'm going to remove it, and we should see a spike there that's going to come up like that and then drop back down. And so that, the light level there is being, like I said, recorded, sent over across the room to the Raspberry Pi, then sent to Microsoft, which probably the nearest server is out in, I would guess, the Herndon Dulles area, right, Silicon Valley of the East, and then sent back to my computer for this dashboard, which is then getting sent to you. So there are a number of caveats and limitations to these streaming data sets, but for relatively small amounts of data, they're not not too hard to get configured and set up.
Hey, Will, this is Shannon. Can I interrupt you for just 1 second?
Yes.
There was a request that you turn your camera on, and I'm not sure if it turns off when you screen share in the web app.
It does, I believe. I did not realize that. Yep.
Okay.
Share your video when you're done screen sharing.
Okay, got it.
So
great. We're getting lots of excitement in the chat, just so you know. I know everyone is silent, but we're still excited.
So yeah, I will. I tell you what. How about I stop sharing so that I can. All right, turn my camera on. So now, hi, everyone can see me again. Very good. So the flashlight. I'm going to show that side of the demo again. I've got the flashlight. Turns on. Very bright. And then if you look over there on the windowsill, you can see that it's just barely there. It's probably pretty small in the video, but you can see that is effectively what causes that brightness spike. And if I share my screen again, then you can see it there, which is pretty cool. Let me, I'm gonna share again, just so we can see that second spike. I'm gonna share and move that over. And if you look over here, you can see that there is a second spike there, which I think is pretty fun. I did a previous talk on sensors in general, specifically with more details on the design of the sensor network. That's on my GitHub. There are recordings of that on YouTube and my GitHub, if anyone wants to take a look at that. But yeah, are there any questions? I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing so I can turn my video on. But yeah, happy to take questions and any advice about in figuring out how to use the Power BI embedding, because it'd be cool to make that dashboard publicly available.
So yeah, Will, this is Lynn Haynes. Thank you. That was a really cool demo.
Mm-hmm.
My observation watching it was just the process that you went through to set up the streaming service in the very beginning.
Yes.
It looked to me like okay, you went through it really kind of quickly, and therein lies the rub in figuring this out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the hardest part, like the part where it actually can get technical, is the part that's sending the streaming data. On the actual Power BI side, configuring it is very easy. You just have to effectively enter the data that Power BI should be expecting as in terms of data model. So you have to define each field that it should be expecting. So in this case, you have to say, humidity is a number, temperature is a number, device name is a string, as text, and then Power BI gives you a link, which then you take that link and the data format, and you take that to your streaming service, and then format the data there, and then just send it to the Power BI API link that they give you. And actually, the code for that is available on my GitHub as well. So if you want to see how that code works in Python, there's code that I currently have running on my Raspberry Pi that's just sending that to Microsoft, to the Power BI service.
Okay. So perhaps you also want to address one of the questions that I saw come up in the chat. What is Raspberry Pi? It sounds like kind of a server collection device.
So Raspberry Pis are little tiny Linux computers that are very low cost, very low power, and are great for, sort of bridging the gap between a microcontroller, something like the little sensor nodes that I have, and a full-sized server computer. And I think the one that I have cost, if you include the case and all that, was about $45. And there it actually can be run as a desktop computer. So you can actually, it's got an HDMI port and USB, so you can use that as a regular computer.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Will. And thanks for those questions. Lynn, is there anyone else that has any questions?
Yes, can I ask a question?
Please,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
Thank you, Will, for your sharing. I wonder if this real-time tool is also available in Power BI desktop.
Yes. So once the data set has been created, if it's within a workspace, if you're in that workspace in Power BI desktop, you can access it just like a regular data set.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Great question. Anybody else? All right. Well, with that, Will, round of applause for you. Thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Will, if you want to drop your GitHub info into the chat once you're done speaking, that would be great.
Will do.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so next we are going to pass the mic over to our good friend Jimmy Gibson. I hope that many of you on the call know him. And Jimmy is going to present a really fun and interesting Power BI use case. So Jimmy, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Shannon. So I guess you're going to lose my video too once I hit the share screen. So let's get started. Can you see my my screen?
Yes.
Okay, but you can't see me, right?
Unfortunately.
We can see you, so it's just in the web client.
Oh,
so you must be
okay.
using the desktop app.
All right, well, I better not make any funny faces then. Okay, again, my name is Jimmy Gibson. I work for a company called Distributed Solutions, where I lead a team of BI professionals. And this has nothing to do with any of that. So what this is something that I have done on my spare time after work, and it's called the Daisley Descendants Dashboard, and I built it with Power BI. And so what is that? So I got initiation of wanting to do this by being a member of on ancestor sites called 23andMe and Ancestry.com, which you probably have heard of. Also, that followed by email stating, "Hey, Jimmy, we're related," and that followed by bi-weekly Zoom meetings where we got together to discuss, who we are and where we're from, and our relatives and descendants and things like that. And then, of course, as this thing began to grow, it started sparking my mind. Okay, what can I do to help with this group of family? And so, so my motivation, of course, it grew as the number of descendants or relatives grew, from something like this to this. And then my determination was to collect data from all descendants, organize that data, aggregate it, and then share it in visualizations and other types of informative formats. And so, so my solution was to use Google Forms to collect data. And of course, the back end of the Google Forms is Google Sheets, which puts things in a nice tabular format. And guess what? It's affordable because most of it was free, if not all. The only thing that was not free was the Power BI Pro license that I have, but that's only minimum amount per month as well. So the total solution here was Google Forms. And if I were to look at, just to give you an idea, this was just a collection of information, names and things like that. And the Google Sheets, once those forms were entered and submitted, then it just collected on sheets like that. So that was pretty
easy to work with. And then, of course, we all know Power BI was the final product. And so what that turned out to be is that what I did was to simply take all of that data and then create visualizations that show things like, email, birth date. This is just a regular table. Also on the back end, I do have what we call a custom help tip. And a custom help tip, you can go in and put, certain things. You can put other fields. You don't have to take Microsoft's Power BI default tip, which looks something like this in black. You can take it and create a custom tip page, and then you can put things that you want to put in there. So anyway, I collected things like our education experience. So, I could see who had master's degree, who had doctorate's degree, and also for those who served in the military. I can look and see, we have folks in the Navy, we have folks in the Army, folks, most of us did not serve in the military. Also for our work experience, if I created a tree branch here, but I'll probably end up changing the visualization on this one. But if I wanted to search for educators, I could just say, just put in a few words of that, and I can find all of the educators over here. Also, I can clear that out. This is a custom visual, just to let you know. But also, I can take a quick look to see whose birthdays are falling where folks live in the world, and also our overall retirement status. And then if you take it a step further, I could right-click on that, and I have a drill through that goes to another page to kind of show a little bit more information about that person. And so, here we get to write a short bio about ourselves. If I were king or queen for a day, we have family information. It says here first ancestor update needed. This is something where probably in the background Power BI didn't refresh, because there's scheduled refreshes going on in the service where it's linked to that Google sheet or another contact sheet where it'll refresh every hour or so. And then I also added links to our different social media. So, if you have social media, then you can click on that guy, and it'll take you to your Twitter or your Instagram or whatever. So that's and of course a back page to get back to where you were. So that is my demo.
That's great.
You have
That is super cool.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I guess I should have raised my hand. I don't know if we're using that feature. Yeah, no, this is great, Jimmy. And I think that, I don't know if that echoes me but no, my mother would love to see something like this on our family. She's been tracing our history and trying to do a lot of research on our family lineage for about 30 years plus. And I'm not even joking. She would love to see. Can you talk to me a little bit about your data sources? What were your data sources again? I know you said you used Google Docs and then some other.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So basically, I created a Google form, just to collect the data, and then that data, the back end of that, when anybody hits that send, it goes to a Google Sheets. I suppose you could send it somewhere else if you wanted to, but by default, it goes to a Google Sheet. So that was easy enough. You can take that Google Sheet and then make it available through Power BI as a data source.
And other folks.
Yeah, and so and then you can actually, I used a gateway to to be able to access that sheet securely and to update, to provide updates for it. So it's in the background, I'm using a gateway on a virtual machine that stays on all the time, because that's part of the requirements for a gateway.
That's right. That makes sense. And then also, I guess what I'm envisioning is somehow extracting or importing data from maybe like 23andMe, right? Where you have family lineage for different, even DNA, right? For, different members of the family, and just seeing how that all kind of syncs up. And I know that they have their own reporting, but to be able to bring that in to the same platform with some of the other, just more personal data that you're sharing across the family would be a really cool way to kind of expose and share at maybe even a family reunion, right? To look for similarities between, different family members, to play fun games and Q&As and things of that nature. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. And I'd love to get that PBIX file. Thanks a lot.
There's a lot of PII in there.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So maybe you can anonymize it or scrub it somehow. But
and I guess I could probably figure out how to stand it up, but I really like it though. So good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Great, Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy, there was a question in the chat asking how you set up the drill through page that had all the details on it.
So the drill through, that's pretty easy. In Power BI, there is a setting that you can let it know that this page is going to be a drill, or this item is going to be a drill through item. And so anywhere that item exists, that data element exists, when you right click on it, it's going to open up that option to drill through. Otherwise, you won't have it, you won't see that drill through. So you have to set it up as a drill through item.
Thank you. And Eric, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just haven't had to experiment too much with drill throughs in my role. So
yeah, it's a pretty cool feature, because you can set up several other pages with just specific information related to that filtered item from which it came to, or that drove it to that page. So it's pretty cool. I use it a lot, actually. If I start off at a broad scope, I can, right click, go to drill through, and then go to that page, and that page is then showing more specific information for that particular item that I just clicked on.
And I will just jump in here because I always have something to say. I think that the drill through feature to an end user is actually quite difficult. People don't necessarily know it's there. So as a developer, if that's something you're building into your reports, you can put a little instruction saying right click on this and drill through to find what you want, or you can teach them how to use it, but that is not one that's intuitive to the end users.
Yeah, actually, I had, as part of a custom help tip page, I did have the instructions for that. I don't remember if you saw that or if I still had it, but at one point it did say right click and then click drill through. Yeah, and then the other thing about that that's pretty cool is I actually have like 4 or 5 hidden pages that you didn't see. And so the drill through will actually still direct you to one of those hidden pages, and you won't hit those pages by mistake unless, there's an intention to go there.
Brilliant. There is a question from Ben. Oh, sorry. Do you want to go ahead?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Jimmy, for your excellent presentation.
Thank you.
I wonder, how did you successfully fit 6 or even 7 graphs in one page? Because every time when I create a dashboard, in every page, I can only fit in 3 graphs or 3 visualizations to keep everything clearly.
Well, I mean, it took a little bit of adjustment. I typically don't like to use too many visualizations. Every guideline will tell you don't use too many. But, it just took a little bit of, give and take and trial and error to see what's going to be the best size for a particular visualization. Some that I knew that weren't going to be honed on too much when you first got to the page, I made smaller. And then others, I knew that I needed to break out a little bit. That tree map, because we're getting more and more people that don't necessarily have, the same occupation, will end up going away, and I'll put some kind of other, either group, end up grouping occupations into different categories, and then go that way, as these things grow. But it's trial and error.
Okay, thank you. Is there a way to change the page size?
There is, you can go in and there's a custom size that you can make, but then there's also other sizes that maybe you didn't go in and take a look at. And then there's also, for viewing, there's fit page to screen and all that kind of stuff that might help, to get those visualizations in there.
Okay,
but
thank
for
you.
sure, when there are settings, page settings that include page size.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, and also thank you thank you, Shannon, for your resource. Thank you.
Most welcome. Yeah, Jimmy, Ben had a question, and he said, if you didn't use Google Sheets, what else would you have used to collect the data?
I had other things that I could have used. I probably could have used Microsoft Forms, just to collect that data. Or I could have, if I used Google Forms, but not the Google Sheets, then that would have meant I would have had to, in the interim, export that data from Google Sheets onto something else, which is not an issue. There's several ways that I could have gone about that. I have access to SQL Server. I have access to other things, but because I didn't want it to be costly, Google Forms going into Google Sheets and then connecting to Power BI was pretty simple and cost effective. So that was the route that I took.
Great. And then, so Ben, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did.
Awesome. Great.
Thank you.
Of course. And we've got another question asking, where do you keep the Google Worksheet to connect into Power BI Desktop?
The Google Sheet is in the cloud. It's on the Google servers, and so I utilized the link. I had to build this into a data set, and then that data set utilizes the gateway so that it's in a secure fashion, updating as necessary. So it's a data set that's hanging out in Microsoft Power BI service, and it's utilizing a link. So as the sheet gets updated, I don't have to do anything except schedule the updates for that sheet to update the Power BI data set.
Thank you. There's another question hot off the press. Do your family and friends have to have Power BI to use it?
No. So this is the sort of an issue, okay? Because if I want to, I don't collect a lot of personal information other than like an email, which is personal enough in certain instances. But I had a talk with everybody, and I said, look, I can make this thing as secure as we need, or I can make it so everybody has access to it, but not make it too easy. So it's published. It's a published report. which means that, there's this, ubiquitous URL that that's in the cloud, and if you have access to that, then you can see the report. So it's not as secure as it should be, but then again, I'm not collecting a lot of data either. That's confidential data. Any more questions?
Thanks, Jimmy.
Okay.
Shelly, does that answer your question fully?
Yeah, the alternative would be to use workspaces, and then everybody would have to have, if anytime you're going to share pro content like that, then everybody would have to have a pro license in order to view the report.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Okay.
Is there anybody else that has questions for Will or Jimmy? Okay, Jimmy, thank you so much. That was really cool. I love the non-traditional ways of using the product. That was awesome.
Thank you so much.
Very cool. The only thing I've done at home is look at my banking information, and that is not fun.
Not for me either.
Not fun at all. Alrighty, so this brings us to our last demo, but I'm actually not going to demo. I'm just going to introduce something that is going on, a community initiative, and then we're going to do our little breakout rooms. This is going to be a quicker meeting than normal, but it's a strange time, so we'll get out of here. But before we do that, I'm going to share my screen here. And I wanted to introduce everyone to a new community initiative that is called Workout Wednesday. Whoops. Get my act together here. So Workout Wednesday, the history behind this is that it is a community initiative that was developed by the Tableau community. Tableau has been around a lot longer than Power BI. They have a really robust community. And for those of you that have used both products, please feel free to jump in. I'm not as familiar with Tableau, but it's really, you can make art out of data with Tableau. It's much more focusing on the visual layer, whereas Power BI focuses oftentimes on that semantic layer behind the scenes. But anyway, all of that being said, the Tableau community has this great initiative going every week where they make beautiful visualizations. And so this year, we are starting a Power BI edition of Workout Wednesday. And it's gotten a lot of traction on Twitter and LinkedIn, which has been really fun. And essentially what you do is every week we post a new challenge. The first 3 weeks have been building on the weeks before, and then the next few are going to be standalone, so you can jump in at any time. You don't have to participate the whole time. But it's a good way for you to practice your Power BI skills if maybe you don't have, this isn't something you do every day at work, but it's something you're trying to learn. And it's really, we're trying to focus as much as we can on the visual layer so that people can really, perfect data visualization in Power BI, because that is a really unmet need with this product. So I just wanted to share this with everyone. The first 3 weeks have been posted. We're going to do one every single week for the whole year. And we are advertising here on the website and on LinkedIn and on Twitter. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I would encourage you to check out the website. And if you use either product or if you'd like to learn either product, I'd encourage you to jump in.
Hey, Shannon, when you say we, who's we?
Yes. So the Workout Wednesday was, for Power BI, was started by a gentleman, Spencer Bauke, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. And he put a group together that is himself. So Spencer has a Tableau background, but he also does a lot of Power BI. He's a consultant. And that is working with David Eldersveld, who is a Microsoft MVP, and Megan Longoria, who is also a Microsoft MVP. So there are 4 of us, and the idea behind it is that, each week someone takes a challenge so that it's like not too difficult to maintain, to be fully honest. But so it's a team, and there's a contributors page on the website where you can check out everybody who's working on it. Although I'm not sure if the Power BI ones are on there yet. But with that being said, Jamie, I'm glad you asked that question. So, and I do see 2 hands up, so you guys please jump off mute. But we are always looking for ideas. So if anyone has ideas for like something you can do really easily in Excel that you cannot figure out how to do in Power BI, or something that you know how to do in Power BI, but it took a minute to figure out, like it was difficult, like maybe putting a bunch of visuals on a page might be a good one. But so if people have ideas, feel free to drop them in the chat or shoot me an email or whatever, because we're always looking for new ideas. Ben, do you have a question?
URL? Yeah, I can't see the URL on my screen.
Is my chat not working? Can anybody see that?
No.
I got it.
It's okay. It's the privacy policy is covering the URL on my screen.
Oh. Ben, are you able to access the chat panel in Teams?
Yes.
It's in chat.
It should be in there.
Oh, it's there?
Ooh, my responsiveness is really slow on my computer. Now you guys can all see my Twitter. But it's just workout-wednesday.com. So workout-wednesday.com.
All right. Fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Has anyone on the line done any of these yet for either Tableau or Power BI? Okay.
I see them on a group that I'm in Enterprise DNA. They have weekly or bi-weekly challenges, but this is more on the Power BI side.
Yes. I have seen the Enterprise DNA ones as well. So I will post the link to the chat I will post the link to the challenges in the chat.
Right.
English is hard.
Shannon, can I ask a question here?
Please do.
I've never heard of these challenges. I'm not really clear on what it is and how it operates.
Yes, so I will give you just an overview. So essentially the challenge is really, what we do is we do a blog post and a video, and we introduce the challenge, and we say, hey, here's a data set that we want you to connect to, and here are the tasks that we want you to complete. And then a couple days later, we come back and we post the answers. So we post a video of how we made it and what it is that there is to do with it. So for example, let's just look at this week 1 challenge, if my computer will allow. Hello.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So really, I mean, you are welcome to post in here your participation. And then at the end of the year, we make a dashboard that shows everybody who's participated, and everyone gets kudos for their participation. But really just what we do is we give you access to a data set, or we point you in the direction of a data set that's already accessible. And then once we've built the solution, so once you've had a chance to try it on your own and say, I wonder if I can figure this out. If you can't figure it out, that is okay, because we always post the solution. And it's a video that'll show you essentially how to get from A to Z. So it's really, it's less of a challenge amongst others and more of just a challenge to yourself and some exercises.
That makes sense.
And, if people have questions or comments, or if you guys wanted to get like a small group together to work on one of the challenges sometime, together, we could definitely do that. So just feel free to reach out if anyone's interested.
Are these challenges posted at the same time every week?
Yes, so they are actually posted on Tuesday afternoons so that folks in Australia, New Zealand, Asia get them on Wednesday mornings. So it's usually by 2 p.m. on Tuesdays. And Jimmy, we are bummed that you had to run, but thank you so much for your presentation. That was awesome. Awesome, awesome. Okay, anyone else have any questions or anything they want to say before we do our next little activity? Ooh, creating running totals. That's a good one. One thing, Eric, to mention about running totals is if you've ever used quick measures, running totals exist in quick measures, which I learned recently, and it is immensely helpful.